In this video, we're going to take a look at the safety data exchange agreements within CARA. So if I come over here to the left-hand side, I can see the available workspaces. And for SDEAs, we're interested in this safety SDEAs workspace. Underneath here, I have the various views that are possible within that workspace. And to open those, I just click on them and they will appear as tabs here at the top. Within the SDEAs, we have two main components. The first, if we come to this partners view, is the ability to create and view all the partners that you have. In order to create a new partner, you simply come up here and click create. This will open up the properties form, and here you can enter information such as the organization name, the organization type, where you can select from a drop-down menu, and here you could select multiple options if you wish. And as it's a supplier, I can also enter the supplier classification. You also have the option here to add all the associated locations or sites with that partner. So you can add here a new site and it will automatically populate with the country. You can then also select whether this is the primary site for this particular organisation. You can save this and you could then add multiple different sites as required. We can also add information about the supplier certification. So for example, some details about that certification. What is the periodic review period? Are there any certification documents I'd like to create? And here you can either create these from scratch or perhaps select from pre-existing documents within CARA. So in this case, I'll just select some random documents. You can also, if you wish, conduct a risk assessment of this organisation. To create a risk assessment, you click create. You can then identify risks. If I just select here from some examples. For each of these risks, we can conduct an assessment. So perhaps what is the severity, its probability, and it will then calculate the overall risk and an overall risk score. You can also enter some text here as a severity justification, probability, and any required mitigation activities. When we save this, it will attach that risk here in the risk assessment. And again, you could add as many risks as you wish here. You can then also calculate an overall probability, severity, and an overall risk based on all the risks you've added. You also have the ability to attach supporting documents. Again, these can be imported or they can be selected from somewhere within CARA. I will just here select an example. Similarly, you can attach any related change requests in the same way, creating a new one or selecting from within the system. We also have some tabs here to show the system properties and source mapping associated. As you saw, within each organisation, it's possible to add multiple locations. And we can see here in this main grid that for generis, there are 3 different locations associated with it. If you wish to add or view the various locations, we can come to this partner sites view, and here we can view all of the locations that exist within our partners. If we take a look at one of these examples, within this you can see that we can define the site name, give it an ID, and enter its address. We can also enter information about the country, the role of that particular site, and perhaps a geographical reference. However, we can also capture contact information within this. So we can add contact information associated with that particular site. We can enter the type of contact. So perhaps this is for our CSRs. And also enter an email address here. This will add that contact information to this particular site, which we can utilize later. Again, on the site, you can add supporting documents, attach change requests, as you could for the organization. Now let's take a look at the SDEAs themselves. So we'll open up this SDEAs view. And within here, you can see we already have a couple of examples. To create a new SDEA, I can come up, click Create here. I will then be asked to select the group. So in this case, let's choose Group 3 and then click Next. You will then be presented with a property screen where you can enter information about this SDEA. So here I can select the partner, and this will give you a drop-down menu from the partners that we saw earlier, perhaps a subsidiary as well. You can enter the type of agreement, the risk management scale, and the product domain. You can also enter the business agreement effective date, enter an SDEA contact, and again, the security will automatically populate at the bottom. If we then move to the products and territories, here we can add the various products and territories that are associated with this agreement. So if I click Add here, I can choose from the product family, perhaps the market, or any subsidiary markets, if it has a trade name, who the market authorization holder is, and who is the sponsor of clinical studies. I can then save this. You can here add multiple products if that's applicable with different markets. On the next tab, we have our Icsr and Reconciliation. Here we can enter information such as the PM submission responsibility, follow-up responsibility, what the reconciliation type is, and where that reconciliation is from or to. We also have other reporting here, so for example, local label update notifications, inspection notifications, inspection outcomes, and so on. Again, we can attach supporting documents here. If I create this, it will take me directly to the item that I've created. But if we also take a look at some other items, we also have this aggregate reports distribution for applicable types of SDEA. Within this, I can select various notifications that I would like to send. So for example, here you can see we have these various types of documents, your PSURs, RMPs, and so on. Here, approved versions of these documents will lead to a notification being sent to the partner. The partner perhaps then could come in and acknowledge that they've received that notification. These notifications are sent from the documents themselves, so when a document moves into an approved state, CARA will automatically send a notification out. Also, for this type of SDEA, we also have a Contracts and Attachments tab where you could add or create contracts and attachments that are associated with this SDEA. You can see here in the status column that some of these SDEAs are active and others are still in a draft state. If you want to activate your SDEA, you select it and then click Send Workflow. This will show you the available workflows for this item. So in this case, we have SDEA activation. If I select this and then click Next, I can then select the recipients that I want to send this to. In this case, I will just select myself, save that, and I can then issue that task. On issue of that task, a notification will be sent to your selected recipients, but you can also find your tasks within CARA here under the Tasks workspace. If I double click on this task, I can see the details about it. So for example, I can see who it was sent by, when it was sent, its title, and if you wish, you could have instructions here. I can also see that the attached Sdea is here, and if I double click on this, I can view the details of that Sdea. To select an outcome, I can come up to this top right corner and I can either proceed with the activation, or perhaps I think changes are required and I want to send it back to have those changes made. In this case, I will proceed with activation, so I simply click on this, confirm that is what I wish to do, and I will then be asked to enter my user credentials in order to confirm and complete that task. You'll see now that has been removed from my inbox, and if I return to my Sdea's view, the status of that particular Sdea is updated to active. Once the Sdea is active, we can also send it on some different workflows. Again, coming up and clicking Send Workflow, you will see here that we have two options. So you could send this in the same way on a workflow to notify a partner of an inspection, or perhaps for a QC check. It's possible to enter information here manually, but it's also possible to pull information from other areas in the CARA platform, such as when we pull these organizations from our controlled vocabularies. But you can also pull information via API from other systems if you store contact details or other information elsewhere. I'm just going to move over to another system. This looks slightly different in terms of its theme, but the functionality is exactly the same. Here again, we have some examples of Sdeas with a slightly simpler information here, but the same principle. And what we can do from this information here is automatically generate annexes which pull that information into your documents. So if you come here to the Generate Psmf Annexes, you can then select the type of annex. We just have a few examples here. Click that. It will ask me to confirm, and it will then create that annex. So this has just created, so this is just created on my other screen, so I'll just bring that across. You can see here that it has generated Annex B1, pulled the information from the metadata into this annex automatically. This is a really nice way to automate information, and perhaps if you make changes to the metadata itself, you can very easily update the annexes without needing to manually perform any tasks.